right, Dawn, real quick to get started, can you do a quick rundown about yourself? Tell everyone who you are and your history and things of that nature.
Yeah, sure, CJ. Thanks for having me on the interview. So my name's Don Campbell, and I'm president of a small company called Expand to Web. And I started Expand to Web almost 4 years ago. I've always wanted to do my own business, so it was kind of it was a exciting thing for me. I had a pretty cool job at Microsoft. So my background, I've done a lot of software product management. I've always been a computer software guy, and I live in San Jose, California, so Silicon Valley. And I had worked at a couple of different startups. One of them went IPO and was successful. And I did a lot of this company was called Interwoven, and we did they called web content management. This was in 1998. I joined the company and they had about 30 people. And my wife and I moved out to California to join this company, to do the whole startup dream. And it was really, really fun. And it was the coolest part about it is in this job, I got to go to all these big companies. So I got to go to like Amazon and Federal Express and you name it, all these big companies and see how they were doing their web content management because we had some software that we were selling to them. And so it was really, really neat for me to get to see all these companies and how they're handling these big problems of managing all their web content. And so I did that. That was really exciting. After that, I went to Microsoft. And then after Microsoft, I started my own company. And so at Expand to Web, we have, so we basically provide tools and training for small business owners. So like small businesses like dentists and chiropractors and optometrists would buy our software to build a website, Facebook page, mobile website, basically to get online and get ranking because we've got a lot of SEO baked into the tools. And then we also have a lot of consultants that are helping small business owners that sign up for our training. We've got a monthly training. It's like a membership area where we do a training class every Thursday night. You know this because you're part of that. And then we've got a really great community of folks that are all helping each other out. We've got a lot of different skill sets, everything from SEO people to web designers to people like yourself that can cover a lot of different bases, to people who are specialized in video or social media. So anyway, that's currently such a fun project for me because I get to meet a lot of cool people like yourself, and you've got a really fun community of folks that stick together. So.
Definitely. And real quick, what exactly did you do for Microsoft?
In Microsoft, I had two different roles there. I was, for a little while, I was what they call a business productivity specialist. It was a pretty neat role. They had a small team of folks that they would send around the country to the big companies. So imagine like when some big company, like, Ford or something like that is renewing their enterprise agreement with Microsoft. It's for millions of dollars a year. And usually half of that agreement was for Microsoft Office. But the problem was a lot of those companies, imagine a company with 100,000 employees trying to roll out updates to Office. It's really hard. So they're stuck back on like Office 2000 or something. And, there's several versions back. So it's hard for the sales team to justify these upgrades. So it was really neat because what I would do is the sales team would have me come in and I would say, hey, here's what some other companies in your industry are doing with Office to make their workforce more productive. And they're saving millions of dollars over here. And so it kind of in advance of these negotiations for the enterprise agreement, Microsoft was smart. They were trying to get people to upgrade to newer versions of the software, with SharePoint or whatever, and kind of get productivity out of their tools, right? So that was pretty fun. I got a lot of cool training. I did a lot of presentations at the Executive Briefing Center. I mean, Microsoft was really great in that respect to get to travel a little bit and get a lot of good training. But right after that, I worked on a project called Office Live, which was not the Office 360. It wasn't like Word, Excel, PowerPoint in the cloud. This was it was an effort geared towards small business owners to help them get online. And it gave them like a SharePoint web presence that they could get online with and then collaborate with other people on documents. Actually, I don't think it was a very good product. It was missing a lot of things. It was overcomplicated. But it was a really neat experience because I got to talk to like all these small business owners, and I was in charge of signing up the first partners for the platform. And that's when I was talking to these business owners. I said, oh man, these guys need help, right? They're struggling. Half of these businesses don't have a website. The ones that do, the website, they paid 10 grand for it. It's not doing anything for them. So that's when I kind of got the idea for Expand to Web, and finally launched my own. It was so hard to make that, to leave that job at Microsoft, right, with all the benefits and pay, and do my own thing. It was really hard to do that, but I'm glad I did now.
That's always a plus. Um,
Yeah.
Now, aside from websites, of course, everyone needs a website, and I don't know anyone who thinks otherwise.
Yeah.
But what do you suggest as far as online presence? It's like maybe your top 5 need to do as far as, Facebook, Google Plus, Twitter. What are your suggestions on that?
Yeah, well, I think you hit on a key word, CJ. It's like what is your web presence? I always tell businesses to think in terms of a web presence, not in terms of a just a website. I mean, I've met a lot of businesses over the last few years. I've interacted with thousands of businesses, and a lot of them are content. They're like, "Oh, I'm already on the web. I have a Yelp profile," and they're nothing against them. That they're focused on their business. They're not tech savvy, so they don't understand that if you want to succeed online, you've got to build out a whole presence with your brand and your domain name right at the center of it, right? You don't want Yelp to decide, hey, I'm going to kick you off, or I'm going to filter these reviews, or I'm not trying to pick on Yelp. It's just that you don't want to have, everything, all your eggs in one basket. You got to have a website at the core, right at the center of it, that is your own domain name, right? And then it also allows you to build out from there. So you kind of take control of the conversation in a sense. If you build up your reviews on Google and on Yelp and on Yahoo and CityGrid, build up those online reviews. So I guess you're asking me for 5. I mean, I think the website's the hub. That's the core, the website with your content strategy. And from there, it depends on what type of business you are, but I think the common ones are to have a Facebook page with some sort of a call to action on it, and with the goal of sending people back to your website. Right. Also, Google Plus, I think, is becoming very important for business owners. You probably know this already, but a lot of people may not. But Google Places, which is Google's free listing that a small business can claim, is now being merged with Google Plus. So now it's called Google Plus Local. And so if you're a small business owner, you've got to be on top of that, right? Because as you know, your search results are being changed. Like, you're in my circles and I'm in your circles. So when I go, +1 stuff and do that, changes the results that show up in your search results because we're connected, right?
Right.
So you got the website, you've got Facebook, Google Plus. I think Twitter, is great. I think from a small business perspective, I'm going to collectively say online reviews would be the other one. So you've got to really got to take a proactive approach to online reviews. If you're a business owner, like let's say a dentist or a chiropractor or something, you've got to ask your best customers for those reviews and build up, legitimate reviews over time.
All right. And you did an infographic on hiring ghostwriters for content a while back. Do you suggest people to hire ghostwriters for the majority of the content on their sites, or should it be 50-50, or what's your suggestions as far as bring ghostwriters on for content for your website and things of that nature?
Yeah, good. That's a good question. I think it depends. I mean, the reason I don't know if it's always a ghostwriter, but getting copyright. So here's the deal. I think for any web presence, whether you're a small business or if you're someone like you or me who's building an online presence or a brand, you've got to have a solid content strategy, right? And what that means is you thought about the content you're going to produce, and you're producing unique quality content for your website, because Google's going to come back and crawl that. You're going to start showing up for more search results. And the recent updates with Panda and Penguin, having good quality content is more important than ever. So what I was trying to do with that infographic is say, number one, you've got to have a content strategy for your business online, right? And that means consistently producing unique quality content. But then there's always this question of like, how much should I pay, right? How much should I pay for this? And I've, hired a lot of writers over the past few years and learned a bunch of things, right? I found you can hire a writer in the Philippines for $5 for a whole article. Or you can sometimes pay $150 for an article. It just depends on a lot of factors. And that's what I was trying to capture in that infographic. It's like, you know, if you want unique quality content and you want the copywriter to create something unique and original with good grammar, and they know their SEO and they're going to include an image and some links in there, you know, then it's going to cost more money, right? And so I think that the big it depends. Like if you can write the content, that's great. And like you're producing content right now for your blog by doing this interview and other interviews, right? That's a great
Right.
way to create content. But I just know so many business owners that I've worked with that while they're capable of writing and they want to write and they intend to write it, they just don't because they get busy, right? So I always, unless I've got a business owner that just hands me a whole bunch of articles that they've already written, which sometimes that happens, especially with doctors or people who are really excited and passionate about a space, I tell them, hey, let's just plan out your next 2 months of content and hire a writer and let's get that done. And they can create a nice outline. I mean, they know the questions their customers are asking, right? Hey, is it going to hurt if
Right.
I go to a chiropractor? How often should I go to the dentist? Do I really have to go every 6 months? What are veneers? I mean, there's all these questions. They know what the questions are. And so I try to convince them to hire a writer and get all that content created in advance. And then you just schedule it out. And now all of a sudden their new website's got great unique articles coming out every week on it. So I don't know if that answers your question, but that's kind of how I look at it. You know,
It covered just about everything. And one more question for you, and this is kind of like my signature question for everyone I'm interviewing,
okay.
is if you can give one tip to a small business who's struggling and seeing the drop in the economy, as most people are saying, what would that main tip be as far as to help their business grow or their presence online and things of that nature?
Yeah, I mean, it's a that's a tough one. I mean, but I definitely think the opportunity that I see the most is for these business owners is to develop their online presence as another channel of marketing, right? Many of them already have referrals in place, right? They've got a way where they're getting referrals from their current customers. Many of them have, different ways that they've been doing their marketing, but what they haven't done is thought about their online presence as a new channel for their business, right? And I think that's the tip. It's to look at their online presence and say, what could I be doing not just to throw a website up, but to have a website, a web presence, how to get traffic to that and convert it. And it's not as hard as it seems. I mean, it kind of seems overwhelming at first as a small business owner, but you know this, and I do too from working with a lot of businesses. That it's just baby steps. Get that website out there, get some unique content on it. I'd highly recommend if they're not tech savvy. I mean, there's the information's out there on the web, right? We're blogging about it. You're doing interviews about it, but sometimes just getting a consultant to help you get off on the right foot and put a plan together, like that sometimes that will help a lot. But just getting out there, getting this website, and I wouldn't even bother with a Facebook special page crazy stuff. Just get a website out there, and I guess the number one tip from there is website and an email list, I guess is what I would say. Build that email list.
Definitely. Don, thank you so much for the interview.
Yeah, my pleasure,
And
CJ. Thanks for having me.
not a problem.
All right.
And we'll catch back to the outro.
All right.